we are having our last guest for the night, and as I mentioned, Rhonda had to work late, so she wasn't able to do the show tonight. But we've had a great lineup and all very interesting guests, and all very distinctive. And our final guest is Beronda Montgomery. This is her first time on the show, and she has a book called When Trees Testify, a very different type of topic, and we welcome her to the show.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. So, your work caught my attention. One, because it's a new topic, but also I have a niece who has a PhD in plant sciences,
Oh, wow. Okay.
and she teaches. I forgot what school she teaches at, what
Mm-hmm.
college, but her her PhD was from a school in Ohio, I think. But she went to Florida A&M for her
Mm-hmm.
bachelor's,
Okay.
and then but she was good at everything. But she
Mm.
just really enjoyed plant science, and I think she spent like a semester in Mexico
Oh,
doing her
wow.
master's work
Yes.
studying plants.
Awesome.
So, and that's kind of what you do. You're a plant biologist. Is that the same as a botanist? Are they basically the same?
They're very much the same, very much the same. Over time, you know how we start using different names for things, but very much people who are studying plants. So, yes.
Okay, and what started your plant fascination?
When I was working on my bachelor's degree, I was majoring in biology, but I thought I was going to go to law school and do patent law, where you help write patents for scientific discoveries. But I spent some time working in a laboratory and fell in love with the idea of doing experiments and being able to just follow your curiosities, as a full-time career. And so decided then that I was going to go to graduate school to become a professor of biology. I wasn't sure at that time that I would study plants, but I took a plant physiology class. And the professor was so enthusiastic about the topic of plants that he drew me in with his enthusiasm. And then it took me back to connecting with my parents. So both of my parents loved to grow plants. My mom had, it seemed like hundreds of house plants, and both she
Oh,
and my dad did gardening. And so it was kind of all of those things that slowly took me to plants.
oh, okay, wow.
Yes.
So it sounds like you also were strong in science too. You have to be
Yes,
strong
yeah.
in sciences.
Yes, I've always loved science and math since middle school.
Oh, okay. Yeah, science
Yeah.
was my weakest subject. But
Yeah.
anyway, English or math or history or anything having to
Yes.
do with that. But science,
Not so much.
I could do it, but it was hard. The other ones came easier. It wasn't,
Yes. Yeah, I get that.
um,
I understand that.
yeah.
We each have our strengths.
We do, we do.
Yes.
And where are you from? Where'd you go to school?
So I'm originally from Little Rock, Arkansas, born and raised in Little Rock, Arkansas. My family is still there, my mother and my late father. And then I went to undergraduate in St. Louis at Washington University and then out to California. You know, going to school will take you some of everywhere. And then I worked first as a professor in Michigan, at Michigan State University
Oh,
for almost
okay.
20 years. Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about your new book.
Yeah.
And do
So
you
my
have a copy of it with
You
you?
know what? I gave away my last copy, but I do have a picture of the cover.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so this my latest book is called When Trees Testify: Science, Wisdom, History, and America's Black Botanical Legacy. And I started writing about plants for the public to kind of, I come from a family where whatever we got, my mom said it belonged to all of us. So when I got plant knowledge, she said it belonged to all of us. So you're gonna have to break it down so we can understand it. And I started writing for the public kind of to live into that reciprocity. But this particular book is one that sits at the intersection of tree science, African American history, and family story. So it's part memoir, part African American history, and part science. And it really started with me visiting a former plantation in South Carolina and seeing a tree at one of those sites that was almost 600 years old. and
Oh,
realizing that that tree would have been alive at the time people were enslaved on the land. So we had this opportunity to stand with the same tree that would have been living with enslaved ancestors. And so in the middle of all of that, I just saw this deep connection of understanding the science of the tree, African American history, and then my own, being descended from people who were enslaved, my own family's history. So that's where the book started.
well, that tree was there before anyone discovered America.
That's right. That's right. It would have been there with indigenous people, right?
Right,
Yes. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, trees live a long time.
They do. And I think one of the things that fascinates me about them is that they live so long that many generations can be with the same being. But also, I was at that site with my sister and son, and I said to them, the tree also holds our captured breath. Because when we exhale carbon dioxide, that gets converted to sugars through photosynthesis and then wood. So I said, these trees hold the captured breath of our ancestors. So we're actually standing in their presence. And so, that beauty of understanding science in a way that drew us to see these as not just living witnesses, but also beings that would have been with our ancestors and hold their breath just started to fascinate me so deeply.
Wow. And you mentioned in your book there were
Yes.
seven trees in particular.
Yes, yes. I talked about seven species of trees. So the tree that I saw in Charleston, South Carolina, is an oak tree. I also explore pecan trees just because in Arkansas there were lots of pecan trees where my parents grew up. Sycamore, poplar, mulberry, apple. And then I also include a chapter on cotton, which is not a tree, but with my family having grown up in Arkansas, I didn't see a way not to acknowledge the presence of cotton. But there's also a link to cotton with trees in that a lot of land in the South got deforested to
To
make
grow
cotton.
cotton.
Yeah, and so there's this link in in ecology with removing trees to make cotton growth possible.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, a lot of times when we think about trees, um, with our history,
Yes.
we think about the strange fruit
Yes.
and all of that. Do you weave that into
I
your book?
do. So maybe I might have missed it when I was naming them. There's a chapter on poplar, and it's for that particular reason. There were many types of trees used for lynching and hanging, but of course, poplar has this long history through. It's being documented in the song "Strange Fruit." I first heard Billie Holiday's version. Nina Simone has a version, and it's thought that that song was written by a white Jewish man. The lyrics of the song, and he had seen a picture of two black men who had been hanged in a tree, and the tree that he saw them in was a poplar tree. And so that's how poplar got connected with a long understanding of lynching. So I do explore that. And I also in the book talk about how, um, although in America, we often hear our kind of contemporary white colleagues saying, we weren't the one who owned slaves, so why do we have to deal with that? We still have people using lynching and nooses to kind of terrorize Black people. So I talk about it from its history all the way up into how it's still kind of used today to terrorize people, and unfortunately,
Yeah, it would be if we could disconnect ourselves from our lineage, um, that would be something, but we
yeah,
can't.
we can't. Yeah,
All of us are the product of our lineage,
absolutely,
whatever
absolutely,
whatever that is.
yes,
And it's just like when people have a grandfather or a great grandfather that was a bootlegger or a drunk or
yes,
whatever.
yes,
And
yeah,
sometimes those things are passed down. I mean, even
yes,
scientifically now, we
yes,
know that they can be handed down from one generation to another.
yes,
So, and the hopes and dreams of our ancestors or the vision, whatever vision they had,
yes,
they passed it on to their children, who passed it on to their
yeah,
children, and so forth. So we can say that we're not connected to that, but we are,
we
whether we
are
like it or not. Now,
exactly.
are we
Yeah.
responsible for the deeds of our ancestors? Uh, no, but we can't just pretend like things never happened.
We can't pretend it never
It's
happened.
honest. This
It
is
is. That's right. Well, and I think is, what you're describing is that we have to accept the wholeness of who we are, the good and the
Yeah.
bad. I heard you talking earlier to one of your guests about being a PK, right? And you
Yeah.
all kinds of things. You probably experience all kinds of things from
All
good to
kinds,
shame in that, but
all
we
kinds of things.
are the wholeness of who we are. And it's the good and bad part. I think also um, ignoring it doesn't help. And I think a lot of times we just want to say, well, it wasn't us, it's in the past. But part of our systems are built upon all of those things. And so we have to be able to acknowledge it. I was listening recently to an interview James Baldwin had done with Alex Haley a long time ago. And
Mm,
Alex asked James Baldwin, can America change? And James Baldwin said something to the effect that America can only change in so much as she can see herself as she truly and fully, fully is. And I think that's part of our challenge is that we don't want to face the wholeness of who we are. We see revisionist history happening now, right? In terms of trying to write African American history and other forms of history out of American history.
or water it down, you
Or
know.
water it down.
Mm, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
and and our history is not like anybody else's. And
Mm.
one thing I really don't like is when people try to pretend like it is. Like their
Yes.
experience is like ours. No, it's not. Nobody's is.
Yeah. No, that's very true.
Nobody's experience is anywhere close. Not in America, and not in the last 500 or 600 years anywhere in the world.
Yes. No, that's very,
So,
very true. Yes.
so
Yeah.
no, you can't pimp our history. You shouldn't. People do. You can't whitewash it. You can't say, well, it was the same. They used to have signs that said no Irish allowed. Yeah, but
Yes.
they didn't enslave the Irish, and
Yes.
they
It's
didn't. The Irish still could be white when if they
yes.
dressed up, they could be
Yes.
white. Like the whole thing about the Europeans is once they came here, they were no longer
That's
Irish or
right.
Italian or whatever. They were white.
That's
And
right.
so, you can't separate. You can't. You're being dishonest. Now,
Yes.
should I judge you based on the past that somebody else did? No, I have to judge you based on what you do.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's all connected.
No,
And
very much
my
so.
dad was a pastor. He wanted to be educated, but his
Mm.
father was a sharecropper. And
Hmm.
one of the things that he didn't like was he was out picking tobacco. My
Mm.
parents were in North Carolina.
Yes.
Um, and the little white kids would be riding a bicycle and going to school
Yeah.
while he was in the fields, whatever you
Yes.
could do at 8 years old or 9 years old in the fields. And he didn't like that. He wanted to go to school. So that was that
No,
was his
it's yeah.
passion.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you say that because I talk about that in the cotton chapter, how that was my parents' experience growing up in Arkansas. Instead of tobacco, it was cotton. And every spring, they were pulled out of school early to work with
Mm-hmm.
their parents in the field. And my mother loved school. And I always say to people, she should have been the first professor in our family. I shouldn't have been the first one because she's really brilliant. But when you look at the reality of that, right, being pulled out every year,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to imagine. And I remember when I got my first job, I took her on a tour of one of the greenhouses where I worked, and she was in loving it, because I said to you, my mom and dad love plants. They were loving it. And then all of a sudden, she looked stricken and stopped talking. And my dad and I didn't know what happened. And she saw a cotton plant that was growing in the greenhouse with the white cotton on it. And it took her back to that
Oh,
disrupted childhood, right? And so many of us a generation away from
yes,
people,
yes,
yeah, we
yes.
think it was so long ago, but I
Right,
talked to
but
my mom this
no,
morning,
yeah,
right?
it's
So,
yeah, it's
yeah,
really actually amazing how much we've done in the last 50 years,
yes,
in terms of just people have been able to pursue
yes,
passions and get an
absolutely.
education. Um, and our ancestors sacrificed and did without and
Yeah, absolutely.
protested so we
Yes,
could have those opportunities. So
absolutely.
I don't take that for granted ever. And so I honor their memory by being my best person
Yes,
as much as I can.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
So that's
Yes.
interesting about your parents. It was different. There were different crops in different parts of the country,
Yes.
but mostly it was cotton or tobacco.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think some people pick peanuts. in different places, but in the
Yeah.
South, it
It
was
was cotton and
cotton and
tobacco. Yeah.
tobacco.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, when your mom, you said your family had plants everywhere,
Yes.
um, in all through the house, I guess indoors and out. Did you all
Yes.
have a garden? Did you all have
Yes. So
plants?
my dad loved vegetable gardening. And so we had both vegetable gardens, and then my mom had her rose gardens. She loved roses.
Okay.
And so she still, even now, my mom is 84, she still has her plants. And until as long as he could before he passed away, my dad was still growing way too many tomatoes. Everyone in the neighborhood got tomatoes and okra.
Okay. Wow.
Yes.
So you've
Yeah.
actually come by that naturally. I mean,
Yes, it's
you
interesting
lived it.
because I still don't have the green thumb as much as my mom does, but I do my best. Yes.
Yeah. So is she um still in the same house that you?
No, so she and my father, we were born and raised in Little Rock, and then after we all moved out, they moved right on the edge of the city. So they have been in that house probably for almost 15 or 20 years. My dad passed away in 2019, but yeah, they moved to a couple acres, and so they had more land to do more vegetable gardening, and really enjoyed the last years of their time together there.
Okay.
Yes,
So when you know how kids play games that are
yes.
related to uh what they're around the kids in the neighborhood or
Hmm.
just what they are attracted to.
Yes.
So what were some of your games that you played?
Oh, we used to play so many games. Of course, we love to play hide and seek. I was trying to explain to a young lady the other day what jacks is. I don't think little girls play jacks anymore.
I
Um,
don't think so either. I haven't seen Jacks in a
but we
long
did the
time.
double
We played
dutch and all of
Jack
that. Yeah, 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 yeah.
and the
And
bolo
then
bat. Now,
that's
different
right.
people called it. Some people didn't call it a bolo bat,
Yeah,
but we
yeah.
did.
Yes,
But you know
yeah.
what I'm talking
I
about? The
do. Yeah. And
paddle
then
with
the yes. Yeah.
with the
And then
ball.
our family games were my dad taught us all how to count on dominoes. We had to keep score on
Oh,
dominoes. And
okay.
then card games were spades. So it was always, I talk about that some in one of each of the chapters has usually a family story, whether it's me or me and my grandfather, me and my dad, because those were such precious moments. And we spent a lot of time outside, really
Yeah.
enjoying
Hmm.
games and nature. So
Yeah.
yes, yeah,
And
yeah.
even though that were you in a like a rural area or was it?
No, so I grew up in Little Rock, Arkansas, but both of my parents had the cutest story. My parents' mothers, both of my grandmothers were best friends, and they wanted two of their kids to get married, so they couldn't just be best friends, they would be related. So my parents got married, and so all of the paternal and maternal families were there together in a rural area. So every
Oh,
summer we spent a lot of time in the country with my grandparents. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we did too. I lived in a small city.
Oh,
So
okay.
uh so we had a
And you said
neighborhood.
in North Carolina or?
No, no, my parents are from North Carolina. Um, I'm from Virginia.
Oh, yes.
So
Yeah.
I'm from
Yeah.
Newport News. But when I
Okay.
was, my grandparents lived in North Carolina. So we did every summer we
Okay.
would go
Yes.
there. And
Yeah.
so, they had the gardening. They
Yeah.
weren't picking tobacco anymore because they were older.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
they
Yes.
they were gardening and still canning,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Yeah.
still baking biscuits from scratch.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah. I love Virginia. One of the first old trees I got to see in person was the Emancipation Oak in Hampton.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah. So some
okay.
beautiful, beautiful trees. Yeah.
Oh, I wonder what part of Hampton that's in.
It's actually right on the campus of the Hampton
Oh, Hampton
University there.
University. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
it's believed, that's the tree they believe that the Emancipation Proclamation was first read to African Americans in Virginia. And it
Oh,
was
I
a
didn't.
site where one of the women there, she was educating Black children, even before some of them were free. So she was taking a risk. So I talk about that in the Oak chapter. Virginia, of course, on the East Coast, but Virginia and the Carolinas have some beautiful old trees with some amazing
Hmm.
stories connected to
Yes.
them. So yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah.
This is a beautiful country. And
Yes, yeah.
Arkansas, it has some. I've been through Arkansas several times
It's a
because
beautiful
I
state.
live in
Yeah.
Houston,
Oh, okay.
but my family's from North Carolina, so we
Mm-hmm.
would do road trips
I
every
see.
every year. And my daughter went to college in North Carolina, so
Okay.
we would take it's Texas 59, which goes
Mm-hmm.
north
That's
to
right.
Arkansas,
Yeah.
and so we would go through Arkansas to
Yes.
Tennessee,
Mm-hmm.
and then to North Carolina.
I
So
see. Yeah.
Arkansas is very nice.
It's a beautiful
Uh,
state. Yeah.
it is, and
Beautiful.
Little
Yeah.
Rock is a it's sort of a unknown, little known, little touristy
It
place, but
is.
the
Yeah.
river there is really
It's
nice.
really nice. I enjoy getting back there. I am the youngest of five siblings. All of us moved away at one point, but everybody's moved back other than me. So I'm still there quite a lot.
Okay, now where do you live now? That you may have
Where do,
said.
so I my home base is in Des Moines, Iowa. This year I'm in right outside of Boston. I'm doing a 1 year fellowship working on my next book project. Um,
Oh, okay, so
yeah,
you're
yeah.
snowed in.
Oh yes, we got 18 inches of snow over the
Yeah,
last
I
couple
saw
of
on
days.
the
I felt like I
news.
was in a snow globe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I've only been to Boston once, and
Okay.
it was in the winter.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
had a college friend that was in at Tufts
Okay.
years ago.
Yeah.
So that was the only time I've ever been to Boston.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, it was very cold. And
Yes.
I don't know, this may just be my perception, and this has been a long time ago, but the people don't didn't seem very friendly.
You
You
know,
know,
a lot of people
now
have said
people are
that.
friendly in the
Yeah.
South. They
Yes.
speak,
Yes.
they acknowledge you.
No, it's interesting because when I moved to Michigan, and I was there for 18 years, when I first moved there, I was just speaking to everybody, and people were looking at me like, who is she talking to? And I was like, oh, the Southern roots don't leave
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
And then I
It's
would ask people, how are you? And they would walk off. I was like, no, it was a real question. I was waiting for an answer. So
Yeah, Southern hospitality.
it's a different
There's
thing.
a culture,
Yes.
and it doesn't exist as strongly as it did in the past,
No,
but it
that's
still
true.
does.
Absolutely true.
Yeah,
Absolutely true.
it's
Yes.
still
Yes.
and the further away from the city you get,
Yes.
the more you experience it.
That is true. I
Mm,
agree. Very much so. Yes.
yeah. So you said you're working on another book.
Yeah, so When Trees Testify was my second book. Um,
Okay.
my first book is Lessons from Plants.
Oh,
This
wow.
came out in 2021, and this was a book where I actually talked about how nature and plants have so much to teach us in terms of, when you look at plants in nature, they grow in diverse communities and they thrive better, how that's an example for us. I moved from that to this book, and then I've just started conceptualizing my next book, which is actually going to explore. There are a lot of Black feminist writers, Nikki Giovanni, Jamaica Kincaid, Octavia Butler, who had really interesting relationships with plants and trees. So I'm going to explore that in my third book.
Really? Now that's kind of obscure that you would even pick up on that. That's
Yes.
like a thread. And a lot of times when you're a writer, or I really want to say like a person who thinks
Hmm.
conceptually,
Yeah.
um, you see threads and things that
Yes.
maybe other people miss.
Yes, yeah. Well, and I think the beauty of that is that we each do have different perspectives. We started out talking about our different strengths. And I think that with all the challenges and opportunities that we have in the world, it takes many different perspectives for us to think about things. And so mine happens to be through plants. Other people are thinking about it through, social sciences, psychology. You had some people on earlier. And I think we need
Yeah.
all of those perspectives to get us where we need to be. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just so interesting how each individual is an individual.
Yes,
There are
yeah.
no two people that have the same exact experience,
That's right.
but there are some cultural things,
Yes,
you know,
yes,
eh, among African Americans, for example,
yes.
that are common. Uh, my friends talk about it when we get together, how even though we're all from different parts, like we weren't all raised in the same country,
Mm-hmm.
but and even at church, we talk about how the songs we sing the
Yes,
same songs,
yes. That's
even though
very
we were
true.
from different parts of the country,
No, that's very true.
and we had a lot of the same traditions that
Mm-hmm.
passed down, a lot of the same sayings.
Yes.
Even now, they're sayings that we know, but other people don't know what it
Mm-hmm.
is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's the beauty of, yeah. And it, sometimes that even extends beyond the US. I spend a lot of time in the Caribbean. I have really good friends in the Caribbean. And every time I'm in Jamaica, I was like, my son and I tease, he's like, black people are black people all over the world.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. So, you being in the plant sciences, I know my niece, she would experience situations where she would be the only black person a lot of the time.
Yes, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
It's
Even
kind of
as you were saying your niece was in the plant sciences, I was thinking to myself, I wouldn't be surprised if our paths have crossed because there's so few of us professionally in the plant sciences. About 5 years ago, right after George Floyd, there was a lot of attention on us having a reckoning of Black people in America. And a lot of scientists started to get groups, and there was a Black birders group and a Black physics group. We had a Black botanist group. So I met a lot of the other Black women who've gotten their PhDs in the sciences through them. We actually have a listserv where we keep up with each other. So it's a
okay.
shame we can count us on a couple of hands, but we are
Yeah.
growing. We're growing a little bit. When I first came out, it was me and one other lady I knew. And so now I said there's enough of us that we are connected. So if I haven't met your niece, I'm sure I will at some point.
Yeah, you may have. Her name
Yeah.
is Aaliyah. So if you ever
Yeah.
run across an
I'm
Aaliyah,
yes. Small world, I'm sure.
yeah, it is. So thank you so much for being a guest on the
Thank
show.
you. Thank you so much.
Congratulations on your book. It's a very interesting conversation to learn
Thank you.
about.
Thank you for all the work that you all do, and good luck with your latest edition of your book as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, have a good night.
You too.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.